What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Altitude Film Room. I am Rob Trujillo and have the pleasure of being joined by former Boise State quarterback, head coach everywhere,
Not
Coach
everywhere.
Sanford, coach at Notre Dame, Coach Mike Sanford. Thanks for joining us again, Coach.
What's good, Rob? How's life?
Man, I spent a lot of time thinking about how I was going to describe us getting into the details, the nitty-gritty of different football plays here. What we do here in the Altitude Film Room is we want to go a little bit deeper, actually talk some X's and O's. And Coach didn't like that last week that I called it, we're going to get a little crunchy here. Thought it was too much with the man bun.
So what are we doing now? Instead of crunchiness, what are we going to lean into, Rob?
I mean, how about in the weeds? How do you feel about that?
Okay, all right.
Is that better?
What about getting a little schemy? Get a little X's and O'sy.
Little schemy. All right. I mean, it sounds a little nefarious.
Good.
That sounds a little nefarious, but that's fine. I'm all for putting on the villain cap, and we might have to play the bad guy this week, Coach, because that tape wasn't pretty. Now I know later in the game, Bo found some free yards. Let's put it some easy to get yards, but the beginning of the game was tough, particularly the very first series, and I think that's what you want to take us through here.
I sure do. So Rob, go ahead and get that screen nice and big.
Let's load it up.
So we could throw some chalk, some old school chalk on a
I like that. Maybe that's what we say. Throw some chalk.
Let's throw some chalk, man. All right. So this is the most significant play of the day of the Broncos 23-16 loss against the Los Angeles Chargers. I thought this was a really big game. I thought that this was the true litmus test in the AFC West pecking order, the hierarchy. You got the Chargers at home. They had a fairly deep injury report. So did the Broncos, for complete fairness. But I do think that this was a measuring stick type game for Bo Nix, for the offense, and particularly in a game where your defense didn't have its best club in the bag, if you will. And that's what I think the day required. Very good 4-quarter offensive execution, and it didn't occur. So this snap in and of itself is the most significant play. It was the first pass attempt of the day. It's been scrutinized, at least in print journalism. If you haven't had a chance to read my article in the Denver Gazette, right now you just go to denvergazette.com, and I actually wrote an entire article essentially based around this play, and so I wanted to put a little bit of film evidence, if you will, behind some of my assessments on this particular play. So it's 3rd down and 8. You can see a little bit of ambiguity from a safety structure shell. They're almost kind of, you can see that the Chargers are employing a strange, almost three safety type of a look where you're not getting a real indicator. I thought, this defense coordinator, Jesse Minter, he's been into college ranks, was the defense coordinator for the national champion Michigan Wolverines. Worked very closely with Rob Trujillo's good friend Connor Stallions at the University of Michigan. But you can see there's no great indicator here is this too high? Is somebody going to rotate down? Is this possibly a robber? When I say robber, I'm not talking about Robert Trujillo. I'm talking about a safety that shows a too high structure, and then it ends up being man coverage, and then he's just watching the quarterback's eyes at about 8 yards, and then follows his eyes. But I thought the disguises were really good. Go ahead, Rob.
Can I just ask you a question about the depth here? Because, you mentioned 3rd and 8, but you've got 2 guys 13 yards off the ball, and then another one 10, 9-ish off the ball. So, I mean, are you thinking about taking something quick and easy here if you're the quarterback, Coach? Or regardless of what the play call is, are you looking to maybe get underneath that? Or do you want to challenge those safeties who are going to be coming up on the ball at the sticks?
Well, so what we're going to get into, Rob, and a lot of times when media members, even TV analysts, when they talk about the quarterback should have just thrown it short, you're not at the quarterback position in most offensive structures. And I believe Sean Payton's got an offensive structure where you're not signaling routes, you're not deciding routes. And so Sean Payton called a deep double dig concept here. All right. So on the outside, you have Marvin Mims, who's going to run his speed cut dig. I always call that deep dig a modified speed cut, because a true speed cut means that you never break down you never break down. And so the roundedness of that break might be up to 6 yards if you're running it at 18 to 22 yards. A modified speed cut is somewhere between what I would call a square cut, where you'd run straight, break down, and then hard 90-degree sharp left turn in the case of Marvin Mims here. So I call this a modified speed cut. And then by number 2 here is little Jordan Humphrey. He's going to be running also an in-breaking cut. And he runs it with the idea of influencing whatever safety is going to be potentially clogging up the window. I think that's more of a love of the game route. I call them LOGs, where you're most likely not getting the football, but you're wanting to clear the airspace for the primary receiver in this concept, and that's Marvin Mims here, which is indeed where Bo Nix throws the football. You do have a condensed split here to the boundary. I believe that's Troy Franklin. That's Cortland Sutton. You got Cortland Sutton, who's going to be running basically a go route. And so Bo Nix pre-snap has the ability to say, okay, no safety help over the top, which he did last week in our film breakdown. I love my matchup. I'm going to go with that matchup, even if it's 3rd and 8. You put it in his airspace. It's either going to be a PI, a completion for us, or, hey, you live to see another down. If you put it in the area that Cortland Sutton can catch the football, then you're in a good spot. Now, a big part of this concept here is you have double chip protection. What does that mean? Is that I believe that's Nate Adkins there, number 45. He's going to be seeing the widest edge rusher, and he's going to get body chip presence. So he's going to literally chip a little bit of his shoulder into whichever of the widest rushers does present into that C gap, which is the gap on the outside of the tackle. And then your running back here, who does have a check down, is also going to chip in whatever shows up C to B gap. Typically it's going to be C gap. So edge rusher off the left-hand side, the blind side of Bo Nix. So momentarily you have 7-man protection because you have double chip help, from these two elements, but you're going to end up getting the shallow kind of check down look there from Nate Adkins after he chips. And then you're going to get also either it ends up being a check sit route here into the boundary versus a zone look. So if you're going to say, could he have just gone with the shorter routes? It would be a chip release check down route to either the tight end or the running back. That's not a fast answer though. That's something that would require you sitting in the pocket and frankly turning down what you see down the field first, because a check down is intended to be exactly that, is that you check what you see, you don't like it, and then you bring the ball down to your underneath chip release type routes.
So as a quarterback, you're thinking that you have time here with the 7-man protection. It's very interesting to me, Coach, because I played a lot of ball and I coach ball, but I never played quarterback. And so when I try to get into the quarterback,
I wouldn't have guessed that, Rob.
Hey, listen, I got an arm. Okay. No, but when I try to get into the quarterback's head pre-snap, you have that 2 or 3 seconds where, a million things can go through your mind. And so I think it's really interesting to talk about, if you're the quarterback in this situation, Coach, what your thought is. I've got a 7-man protection, so I should have plenty of time to read out all of my options here.
Yeah. Candidly, this is a 6-man protection with a chipping tight end. Oh, I got a little fired up there, Coach. There we go. I get the safety picture. There we go. All right. So candidly, the 5 offensive linemen, we know they're in protection. The running back is going to dual read. So you can see this is Javonte Williams. His eyes are actually over here on a potential blitzer from the field to scan. There, it looks like you see number 3 here, Derwin James. It looks like there's a potential for one of these 2 guys to come because of the contour of these safeties. Right. He's the lowest safety. So I would call that he's almost capping these 2 elements right here. So something could be coming here. All right. So let's let this play out. 4-man rush. Awesome. I talked about it already. Okay. You end up getting a double robber look here, man. It's pretty interesting here. So you got this is what, when I talk, I don't know if you've heard me on the airwaves talk about hybrid coverages, cover 3 match. All right. That have certain man-to-man elements and then have certain zone elements. This is a great illustration of a very collegey defensive coverage that is causing a lot of problems at the college level, and it's trickling its way up, just like the RPO trickled its way up to the National Football League. So this is, if you look right here, Rob, man or zone?
That's man. It looks like man to me. His
100%,
back's
right?
to
Like
you.
man eyes,
Yeah.
press coverage. Like he doesn't care about any other aspect of anything other than what Cortland Sutton's doing.
Yeah.
All right.
You can see his numbers.
If you look here with the softness of this corner right here and his eyes inside, would you say that's zone or man?
That looks well. So I would say it's zone because but here's the thing, coach. If you've got the double robber look, when you got those three safeties, he's not going to be dropping back into a zone there, right? Like you've got three guys deeper than him already. He's not going to be dropping into a deep zone there, right?
Are you talking about the corner?
Yeah.
Well, the corner, I mean, he's got to, at the very least, I mean, these two robbers can't help with the outside receiver.
Right.
Right. So like those two guys are for any crossers, any shallows, anything at 8 to 10 yards, and you'll see how it kind of plays itself out. Now, does that look like man or zone right there? Number 0 on the way that he's got his hands on Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Looks like man to me.
Right. Okay. So this is the whole thing about this 3 match coverage. All right. Watch what ends up happening. Number 0. Yep.
Pass him off.
Yeah. So anything that crosses. So his rule would be if that guy runs vertically or he breaks out, I got him. If he crosses inside past the offensive tackle, I'm passing him. So this is the whole the beauty of cover 3 match. If you're a defensive minded guy, and I think this coverage is reducing points before our eyes in the National Football League, is that the beauty of it is that you take away a lot of the fast now throws because the first 5 yards play as if it's man-to-man coverage with your slot coverage, your tight end coverage. And then it ends up getting passed to somebody. And so from a quarterback standpoint, you don't just have your man ball placement or your man answer because it could get passed while you're in your throwing process, throwing your man answer. And then all of a sudden it's passed and there's a robber safety coming down, taking it over once it got passed from that tackle area. All right. So I would say here, this feels like number 7, the corner. This feels like cover 3, doesn't it?
It does.
Like he is higher than the highest. He's not squatting on the route. He is not gloved on the route. He is playing top down, damn near cover 3 coverage, right? But you could see that. What does that route look like? It could be a curl, like a deep curl, which would be working back to the quarterback. All right. So I already talked about Lil Jordan Humphrey's route. His primary objective is to clear whatever match or zone coverage defender is going to be clogging up the throwing window for Marvin Mims and for Bo Nix to find that dig throw. Okay. So you can see this. All right. So this is the most important thing. And I'm going to show the end zone copy here. All right. Dig cut. All right. Look at Bo Nix. What do you notice about this pocket?
He's getting pressure from his backside.
That is not pressure in the National Football League. That is.
I mean, I was going to say it's clean to step up into.
This is the cleanest pocket you will ever get in the National Football League. And I'll show you the end zone copy. This is hard to see on 2 video screens that are reduced and all that stuff. But that is clean. So this is a gun 5-step drop with 2 hitches. And I'm saying no one is even within his airspace of altering his throw. That's a great job from a protection standpoint. Let's go back and look at these chips too, by the way. So there's my guy Atkins. He sees Khalil Mack, ends up being a twist. He chips him just a little bit, which buys Alex Forsythe, the backup center, buys him a little time. Shoot, it's like by the time Bo's even in his hitch at the top of his drop, I should say, before there's even contact there.
And I didn't even see the Javonte chip, but that
and then there's
him out too.
Yeah, Javonte chip, which widens the rusher. Boom, big chip. So no pressure at all. He's at the top of his drop. That guy's 7 yards away from him. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, now, most importantly, all right, NFL throwing is all about anticipation, and you can't wait till you see the numbers 1-9 before you pull the strings if you're throwing a dig. In full transparency, Bo Nix is throwing some great digs. I think it's been his best throw. The second half throw to Cortland Sutton in the rain was a dig throw, and that's that 60. Some people run their digs at 16 to 18. Some run them 18 to 20. This looks like more of a 18 to 20, meaning you start that modified speed cut at about 18, and then you're flat by 20. But the ball's got to explode on that receiver before they're coming out of their break. Right? Because right here, sorry about my clicker there. Boom. Do you have Anything that's troublesome in the area to throw the dig right there.
No, not if you let it go there, because the higher defender is back is to you, and the other guy's still in the back pedal. So.
Okay, so watch Marvin Mims. Everybody talks about not getting enough separation. Is that separation in the National Football League?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yes, it is. It is separation. Okay, wait till you see how long he runs. So he's out of his break. Ball should be not just thrown right now, it should be in the air right now. Okay? Ball is just now delivered. Still running, still running, still running. Outstretched hand, and we know the rest of the result.
So, I mean, the anticipation, not good.
Yeah, and I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain both of those with this. This end zone copy is the gold right here. Okay. So go ahead and ask the question because I'll answer it with this.
Well, so listen, people have said Marvin Mims needs to catch that ball, but I think the ball placement wasn't stellar on it either. And like you mentioned, he's not anticipating well enough. And as you said, this isn't a shot at Bo Nix. He's thrown good dig balls all season long. You actually, I heard you say with Demps that you thought it was one of his strongest routes.
Yes, it absolutely 100% is.
So
now we'll say also
through here.
The dig throw is it's a bit of a confidence throw, right? Because there are some blind faith decision makes. You do make some decisions that are based off blind faith. You do have to anticipate it being the first pass attempt of your day could play into that, right? Could be just a split second of indecision, a split second of not trusting your protection. And then the catastrophic play happens that gets you in a hole that ends up being too large to pull yourself out of, both mentally and and on the scoreboard, frankly.
So
because you didn't score any points till. Go ahead.
When media members are saying, "Hey, a couple short throws, get them into rhythm here," is that kind of the same thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, ideally as a quarterback coach, you want your quarterback to be like, yeah, I can throw anything in the catalog on my first throw of the day or my 37th throw of the day. But when you're dealing with the rookie quarterback, that's not always the case. Now it's the downside. Everybody's been wanting Sean Payton to run the football, right? That's been a big, hey, the best way to help a running back or rookie quarterback is by running the rock. Well, he did that on first and second down, and it's 3rd and 8. So you can't throw a 3-yard arrow route on 3rd down and 8. I mean, you could hope for soft coverage and you break a tackle and you get the first down. But I mean, Bo Nix has played. He's played 5 games by the time he made this pass attempt, right? This isn't total training wheel season anymore. So here's what I see here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause it. Okay. If you notice, and I'm going to take my awesome pen here, my yellow pencil. His eyes are actually staring down inside little Jordan Humphrey, who's running that kind of, I'd call it an influence in breaking concept to sponge up, to literally absorb any of the possible cover players that could be lurking in that window. Bo Nix stares him down. Now, I don't know if he's part of the progression or not, or Bo Nix is making the decision to stare him down the middle with that stripe in front to try to make sure the safety doesn't read his eyes and then jump his intent, which is to throw it outside to Mims. Either way, is that a clean pocket?
Oh, yeah. And honestly, from this angle, you see it crystal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, when people are at times having blind takes about throwing under pressure, this is the anti-pressure throw. This is the best protection that you will find at any level. The best protection I've seen in a high school game, and I've called every altitude high school game of the week. This is glorious. It's a 4-man rush. You got double chip protection. You've widened out your edges. You don't have any interior push. Like that is 6-7 yards. So my thing with Bo Nix is, all right, you want to throw the outside dig, right? That's the intent of this concept. In most dig concepts, you want to throw the outside route because you're going to create more space to throw the dig. The inside dig there's a lot of underneath players. You saw it with the double robbers. So I don't know why he's staring down the middle, but what you're going to see, okay, little bounce right there. All right. I like it. He's holding the ground. Everything's good. Right now is when Marvin Mims is getting out of his break. You just got to trust me because I've watched this sideline and end zone about 150 times. All right. He's out of his break. Ball should be exploding right now. Absolutely exploding. And then Marvin Mims catch that ball 3-4 yards outside of, on the inside of where he made his break point.
Sure.
And it's a first down Broncos, and it's going to be a 25-yard gain. That's like, think about the difference of the Broncos starting out on the first 3rd and 8 with a rookie quarterback hitting Marvin Mims for a 20-yard gain versus this. Now, what happens?
That separation coach a chance to break a tackle.
Yes,
and maybe take it to the house.
Yes, and you bring up a great point, Rob. Is that when you throw the ball with anticipation on a timing based route, you want that ball on that receiver as soon as possible to optimize the opportunity to catch it with the space that you just created and then turn it into something even more.
Yeah.
Okay. So watch what Bo Nix does here. Watch his feet. And I wrote it. This is what I wrote the article on. That. Okay. Let's watch that again.
Little false step.
Yeah. So he jumps. So there is no pressure. Nobody is in his airspace. He's not in danger of getting in any form of trouble whatsoever. The dig window is through this gap. That's where the dig window is. So if you want to make the point that he sidesteps this way to create a better throwing angle, I would argue that it's because you're late and you didn't anticipate the throw. Therefore, you then have to jump to your right to find that dig. And as a result, all right, you had to jump. All right. Now watch his throwing process. Watch how it finishes. Does he look like he's throwing across his body to you at all?
Yeah.
Watch this. Jump. Okay, now let's talk about the ball placement. Okay, so what should he have done here? All right, I would argue that he should have come off of the inside dig, seeing the robber coverage. That safety's playing 36 yards deep. I mean, by the time he makes the decision, it's not actually 36. It's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep where an 18 to 20 yard route will not be influenced by the single high safety. The robbers are they're getting sponged up by little Jordan Humphrey's route. Get your eyes off that middle of the field. Get your eyes straight to that dig. Ball should be ready to explode. All right. But the sideways jump here, he's in a good spot right there, but I don't like where his head positioning is. And it's almost like his feet are telling him, get to my dig. Now it's panicked. Now it's off balance. Now you see his body, Bo Nix's body is now working this way where his throw needs to work this way.
Yeah, his body, looking at his body, it looks like a parentheses. Like it looks like a smiley face. And he's not in line going through the ball. You know what I mean?
And I love that. That's a great way to put it. So when in my time as a quarterback coach, I always actually just talked about the shoulders. You are in balance when your shoulders are more level through the throwing point. You're off balance and redlining the throw, which means absolute max effort in a somewhat of a chaotic or panic type of a throwing process. If your shoulders get like that, which is exactly what you see. Look at even Nix's jersey, or his name on the back of the jersey is at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
And that could all be avoided by just being peaceful in the pocket, being less chaotic in the pocket, create that balance.
And listen, his foot is pointed towards where he's throwing, but even his front foot, that leg looks open to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't you want that more underneath your body? And
yes,
because
it's no different than pitching. Like you, as a pitcher, you don't want your front toe open past where you're trying to throw. Right. You actually want it at a slight angle, even slightly closed off to the location that you want to throw it to.
And to your point, that footwork is forcing him to redline the throw.
Yes.
Because now he's got to put his entire arm and his entire core into that throw because his legs aren't underneath him, right?
And when you do redline throws, you're less likely to be accurate. You're less likely to be accurate.
Yeah.
The margin for error increases because the quarterback position is a rotational athlete position, just like golf is, just like throwing a baseball is. And so whenever your core beats your elbow and your wrist to the throwing point, inaccuracies come about. That's why you don't see too many 6'5" plus quarterbacks anymore, because it takes so much to get that fine instrument in sync at all times. Same thing with golf. How many golfers do you see that are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" on the tour? Not many, right? Because that sweet spot now, even in the NFL with accuracy and in the RPO game and the tight window throwing, the NFL sweet spot right now in quarterback play is right around 6'1" to 6'3". That's kind of where a majority of them are. I know you're a Bills fan, and Josh Allen's a humongous human being, but he's next level, man, athletically and you name it.
And not to talk too much Bills here, but I mean, a guy who has spent a lot of time working on his throwing mechanics, trying to get those extra long levers to work in sync 100%. So he can really drill the ball in there.
100%. And so while it may appear like I'm bashing Bo because of this one snap, and this is not I'm showing this clip to further my point that Bo's not an NFL quarterback. Far from it. This is so correctable, dude. That's why I'm showing it. And the correction would be calm in the pocket, anticipate, and then just a very subtle, I'm talking subtle, slight movement to reset your visual camera, which is your eyes as led by the stripe of your helmet, to that area of the dig. Do it a half second earlier and just use your feet subtly instead of jumping. Like when you jump, you create chaos. And so like I keep talking about this jump. You said it is a false step to start it. I'm going to show that false step. That's the false step. And then now you're jumping into that spot. And now you're throwing across body. All right.
Yeah,
now ball placement.
And it's crazy because he false steps, he reloads, his base is back underneath him, coach. I mean, even after the false step, his feet are back in line, and then he jumps, like you're saying. It's kind of, that's kind of strange to me. And look at how he finishes.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like this is the kind of finish. And there are quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes finish goofy, right? And you're like, it'll be a perfect throw. Jordan Love, the guy I coach, like I worked so much with mechanics with him, and I started learning I need to just let him be him because he can do some of these things so naturally. There's other quarterbacks I've coached that they have to be right, dude. Like they don't possess enough in just the flick of their wrist to be able to be off platform, off balance, and create the same type of accuracy that's needed. And I do think Bo Nix is one of those guys. Is that a bad thing? No, it's not a bad thing. There's probably 3/4 of the National Football League starters are guys that do need to be right fundamentally. Peyton Manning had to be right. Tom Brady had to be right.
Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest Broncos quarterbacks of all time, Peyton Manning. And if he's not, and that's why he was so meticulous about it, right? Because if he wasn't mechanically sound, that ball, he didn't have enough arm strength to do it. So it's not a knock on Bo Nix. It's just, this is what it is, right?
It is. It is. Josh Allen's had to learn to be right. Right. Yeah. I mean, he does do some ridiculous things that very few people on this earth can do, but he does have to be right. And that's why he's invested so much in it. All right. Ball placement. Okay. So there's been a lot of talk, and just like everything in our country right now, you're either like all in on Bo Nix or all out on Bo Nix. I find myself somewhere in the middle. I try to evaluate what I see on tape on a weekly basis and just disseminate that information and call it good.
The loudest ones, coach, are all in or all out. Most of us live in this gray area of reality.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, I think when you're scrolling X, you're not getting a lot of the middle grounders that are just like, pounding the table. I'm somewhere in between. How cool is that? Yeah. So here's the ball placement. Okay. All right. I'm going to zoom in on this. All right. Just so everybody can see this. Because I think this is important. All right. You are running Marvin Mims. You're late. You came out of your break over like here, like off the screen near the numbers. This ball is thrown on the horse logo, which is not a massive logo, but might I add, it's not like Western Kentucky where I coached, where the logo took up 42 yards and about 20 yards north, east and west, if you will. All right. So zooming in on this just a little bit.
You have to tilt up a little bit, coach.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. All right. So Marvin Mims, who's running He's fast as hell. He's a 4.4 guy, 4.3 guy, right? He's running full speed. All right. He is fully stretched out. And it's not easy to max jump while you're running sideways and a ball's coming at you from a 90-degree angle. That ball is hitting his outstretched pinky or fingertips. All right. That's a pick. So when you're a quarterback and you throw that ball placement to a single high coverage, a tip ball is a picked ball. A tip ball is a picked ball. So this is a ball placement timing issue that is for the sole purpose of what happened in the pocket. A clean pocket, might I add.
And this is literally why they call those safeties center fielders.
Yep.
Because when it goes deep and it gets tipped any kind of way, they're out there to make that pick every time. I also think, Coach, it's interesting that he's wearing all white gloves because it gives you a real stark visualization of how much higher than his hand that ball really is.
One thing that I did not mention here, and I want to show you. I love Bo Nix's reaction, and that's my favorite trait of Bo Nix. All right, he throws a pick on his first pass attempt from scrimmage as a quarterback. I mean, 3rd down and 8. It's the first time you've thrown it. All right, let's see if I can go back to the very first clip here. Try here.
While you say that, I just want to say too, so when I was a route runner, I was a pass catcher. And Mims, when he's coming out of that break, I think it shouldn't go unstated that he thinks that ball is coming right away. Like he's thinking he's going to turn around and that ball is going to be on him. And so
Correct.
Not only is he having to do everything that you mentioned in terms of running full speed, catching a ball at a 90-degree angle, jump up in the air, barely get a hand on it, but also it was probably a little bit jarring because between his separation and what he could see on the inside of the defense, he probably thought to himself, this ball's going to be on me. Like I'm going to turn and the ball's going to be right there. And it wasn't.
Right. Yeah. And I agree. That's one thing I have never done is in a football game. I've never run a dig route. You've run basic crosses, I'm sure, from the tight end position. That's
and running back, Coach. Yeah, I played running back. I know.
Okay, I thought you're tight end.
Running back and tight end.
with the long hair, you flow right into a H back.
That's what I was gonna say.
Most H backs have. Yeah, they wear their hair flowing out of their helmet on game day, and then they man bun it the rest of the week during position meetings. Anyway, so I love what Bo Nix.
All right, clean cut quarterback. Go ahead, tell us what you wanted to tell us about Bo.
Gardner Minshew would like to have a word with you. Okay, so you can see Bo Nix right here. Okay, ball's about to be tipped. Here's Bo. Okay, he's got the little quarterback hop going. Oh. Okay, he doesn't do the thing that a lot of Broncos fans have seen for unfortunately a decade, where he like hits his helmet, puts his head down. Watch him. He's right here. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, I'm gonna kind of turn the camera here.
It's playing safety.
Immediately just goes straight back to playing safety in position to make sure that he funnels the ball back. If indeed it does get to that point. I love that. I think that's smart play. He's doing the optimal thing required after the worst thing could have happened. And I think that's a positive. And I know
to be honest, your defense then holds them to a field goal.
Yep.
So, if it didn't, but if it did come down to him making that tackle, you would have saved 4 points with it. You know what I mean?
You're
just
exactly
because you're
right.
in position.
All right. This one right here was also a very interesting snap. I'm going to probably push this camera back because I've been moving it around a little bit. So apologies.
I think you're pretty good there, Coach. We got the safety and Bo in there.
Okay, perfect. All right. So this is the shot play to Marvin Mims. All right. This ends up being Marvin Mims is now playing the slot. Okay. So you have essentially it starts out as a bunch look. And why would you show bunch? Well, a lot of times when you get to any of these 3-man bunches that are in very condensed splits, for some defensive structures, it conjures up a bunch response. And a bunch response a lot of times is a cloud. Sometimes in man coverage, they'll press the point guy, which in this case would be Marvin Mims. And he will either lock it, or they can have these two man defenders, this one and this one. They can zone it, and whatever goes to the zone area, then number 7 would have in the flat. Whatever goes down the middle, the guy, over the point would match that. It could be number 3, it could be number 1, and then he ends up zoning it off in this inside area. This ends up being, we'll let it roll, but so they motion out of the bunch. It's Troy Franklin, right? And so Troy Franklin, just known for speed, known already to be a guy that's going to probably some shot plays are going to go to Troy Franklin. Okay, so that's a little bit of the thought here, is that you got the speedster on the outside, right? So Bo Nix, this is a designed setup off of a sprint action, and it ends up being a deep spear route. All right, a spear route is the way I would call a spear route is that you are launching a spear at the back at a pylon. Some people have different rules. If you're inside the 40-yard line going in to score, the target point would be the back pylon. If you're outside the 40-yard line, the target point would be the front pylon. That's how we taught it at CU. All right, not very well apparently. But
yeah, you got to win.
So Marvin Mims here is running a deep spear route. He feels man coverage, at least a match element of zone. All right. I love this route by Marvin Mims. And this is not a Marvin Mims apologist hour, but he did some good things on tape. All right. So he feels number 29. I don't know these. There were a bunch of no-namers that I didn't know who the hell they were playing for the Chargers because there's a ton of injuries. Who is 29? Do you know top of your head?
I don't.
Thank you. I didn't want to be the only idiot. I am an idiot.
I'm happy to look it up while you talk, though, and sound
it's okay. They shall remain nameless and faceless. All right. So deep safety. He's got 26 yards of depth. All right. Bo Nix, because of the rollout, because of Troy Franklin, who it appears is running a stutter comeback. So that means he's showing the comeback, stuttering it, and running a vertical go route. All right. Safety is driving all over this. All right. The intent of this is for Bo Nix to identify the safety. Safety gets over the top of the stutter comeback. So it's essentially a comeback and go. We just call it a stutter comeback. The safety, I think you can barely see on the screen, he is starting to drive over the top of where Troy Franklin is. Well, you have this deep spear route, which is your answer. And if indeed the safety takes away that stutter go. All right. Marvin Mims recognizes that man coverage. All right. I love this. This is called a stair step. So he knows that ultimately he needs to get to at least the pylon areas as a landmark, but he's got to create separation. Well, how do you do that? You employ the stair step. And what a stair step is fight friction against the DB, make him believe that there is a chance that you could be running a corner route, an out route this way. So he's got to then get into a hip trail position. So he's fighting friction. And then you straighten it up, straighten, and now start the process of flattening it off. Separation, 2 yards of separation. All right.
And in the NFL, that's cooked. I mean, that is torched.
Now, Bo Nix throws this ball up, and he throws a good proximity throw. Okay. So, yes, you do give Marvin Mims a chance to catch the football. All right. Underthrow on this, with the way the DB's playing, you're going to have a better result than where this ball ended up. What would happen if this ball is grossly underthrown? If just looking at that picture with the corner
there's a PI there.
Yeah, it's going to be a PI, right? Okay. The perfect in-stride downfield throw, tough throw to make, especially when you broke contain on the pocket. When I look at the end zone copy, I'm going to show you where the perfect throw would have been made. And I know we're holding a rookie quarterback to a high standard, but this is, if I'm in the film room, this is what I'm coaching. Now, I'm not saying that this is what Sean Payton and Davis Webb are exactly coaching, but my guess is that it would be somewhere along the lines, having coached with a bunch of different mindsets on quarterback play, ball placement, how to throw spear routes, and all the different things. Okay, so Marvin Mims is running. he sees the ball is somewhere between underthrown and perfectly in stride. So it ends up being a proximity throw. That allows the DB to play that recovery speed. And from the end zone camera, we'll see they're taught down the field. You see or feel the hands flash. You punch with one hand through the basket. And that's exactly what he did. He punched right through the basket. Tremendous defensive coverage. Could it have been avoided? I'm going to show you why. Yes.
Now, real quickly, though, Coach, I just want to talk about the safety. I mean, this feels like an awful job by him. Like, this feels like an easy read for Bo. His back is to Mims. He's going full speed towards Franklin. It feels like this is a very simple read for the quarterback. Is that right?
Yeah, the best way for him would have been, and I love your coaching point there. That is poor. Is that you want to midpoint these two vertical threats,
but in your back pedal, right?
But in your pedal, you want to keep your hips facing the line of scrimmage, as opposed to opening over the top. Easier said than done. I think, especially because Bo Nix is, and this is great play design, in my opinion, by Sean Payton. I love this because what the factors that led to him weaving and opening his hips fully to Troy Franklin is the break contain, because it looks like so he's feeling the flow of the intent of the play, and then it's a design setup play. How's the protection there, by the way?
I mean, incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
I mean, it doesn't get better.
This is what, when people say move the pocket, that's what they mean.
Yeah. And sometimes you move the pocket. Yeah. And sometimes, Rob, you move the pocket in order to actually set up on a wider launch point, right? Sometimes you move it to throw it on the run. This is you give the illusion you're moving the pocket in order to stay on the run, but now you pull up. And I thought this guy right here played fantastic football, by the way. Matthew Peart. This guy right here, my man Alex Forsyth, had a tough day, and it made me. I am now in the Luke Wattenberg appreciation camp, because he has been unbelievably good through 5 games. Can't get off IR fast enough. I think Alex Forsyth will grow into the role. He's a second-year player. It was a tough start, and the Chargers play really physical nose tackle play, and they lined up a dude over him and walked him into the quarterback at times.
Unless so why, as a play caller, you would call something like this, Coach?
Bingo. Change the launch point. Don't allow interior pass rush to become a problem. Your center. I thought whenever Alex Forsyth had some type of help mechanism in place with either his right guard or left guard in a slide, he was fantastic. He was in great position, but from a 1v1 standpoint, a nose tackle lined up over you, and now all of a sudden you got to get both of your guards to kick out with width. And that was where the challenges lied. And same thing with the run game. If he was involved in a combination in zone, then it was good. He was fine. It wasn't getting split on double teams, but when it was a one-on-one block, those are the type of things that defense coordinators scheme up for, especially the first time starting center. Okay. So you're going to see, and I hope we can see the Marvin Mims piece of this. Yeah. Okay. Is Mims in the picture yet?
Yes.
Okay. So this spear route, all right, the initial aiming point is towards the pylon, all right? And it actually right here looks like it's the back pylon, okay? But a lot of that's going to be predicated on the quarterback can manipulate the ending destination of the route based off if they feel green grass, okay? And you can see right here, this ball, Marvin Mims, all right? And I talked about this on you and I just off air on Monday. What do you have out here in terms of being able to throw?
Whole lot of space.
Green grass, baby. Right. And that's the coaching point that I give on any of these deep crossing routes. If you got a guy turned his back, the easiest throw for a receiver to make is the one where they can stay in their stride and then adjust flat to the football. The toughest ball that they'll catch is the one where they're running full speed this way, and then the ball even kind of makes them have to turn their shoulders over that opposite shoulder and make the Willie Mays basket catch. And that's where I think Marvin Mims because of the throw is on his exact line, my coaching point is throw the ball out here. Okay. Throw the ball into this space and then go allow Marvin Mims to be a Frisbee catching dog and get to this spot because he is in a trail position. And if I'm working out into this area, I can stay in my optimal speed level and I don't ever allow the ball to cross my eyes. I can keep my hands in front of, and keep the ball in front of my eyes.
Again, I was never in the quarterback room, but I've heard offensive coaches say that the biggest sin is overthrowing that ball.
Yeah,
and if you flatten that out,
yep.
If you flatten that out, there's no chance you overthrow it, right?
100%. 100%. And what ends up happening, you'll see it in the NFL, you'll watch games this weekend. A lot of those flattened out throws, they end up, the DBs get in such bad position. You flatten it out, you catch it. DB's then in bad position to tackle. You'll make one miss and you walk into the end zone because the DB is just like, he's had to cover you fighting friction. So I might be covering the outbreak early, right? And then I straighten it up. Oh, I better get going vertical. Well, then all of a sudden I have to cover this side of the field and they get turned around. And I call that at receiver, put that DB in the damn spin cycle. And then the quarterback can put the exclamation point on that spin cycle by then flattening him off, which creates a panicked reaction, which makes a lot of DBs end up missing tackles. Okay, so now I'm going to be a little bit critical of Marvin Mims, all right? Right there, you feel the ball slightly underthrown, high hands. High hands. Do anything and everything in your power to go high hands. Now, what's the DB doing to Marvin Mims? Be right here, his left hand.
Trying to hold that thigh down so he doesn't get as much air.
Yep. And also, what about, so you see the DB's left hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can see his white glove.
Right hand. Yeah.
He's doing that too. That's a great point. He is holding that thigh down.
That's a little trick they teach you.
Yep. And then breaking the basket so that Marvin Mims is not able to get his hands together in a high profile. So let it play. So it's somewhere in between throwing it perfectly in stride and completely underthrowing it, which you gave Marvin Mims a chance, but the optimal chance, in my opinion, doesn't require you to throw a red line throw 68 yards in the perfect stride throw. You could throw it in a flattened manner, and Marvin Mims can go fetch that football and take it that flat line.
This is something that we talked about on Monday, Coach, and I did want to bring up here too. So you're saying a flattened trajectory on that ball that would be outside of the numbers that you're throwing essentially to that red line.
Yes. Yep. And we define that red line. It's a practice line that is imaginary on game day, but it's 4.5 yards from the sideline. If you throw it on I wouldn't say hit the red line, but in the direction of a red line. Yeah. And this is not in the direction of a red line. This is in the direction of the back of the end zone. So, whereas any deep spear route, if anything, should be on this trajectory.
Right.
And I believe that Marvin Mims is just adjusting to the flight of the throw.
Now, there's no doubt he's redlining on this throw. We talked about that with the last play. You can see his body language as he does it is the same as the other play to prove your point that he redlined on the other throw. Yep.
Shoulders.
Yep. But this is a deeper throw, right? I mean, this is going to take everything that he's got.
And he is throwing it early.
Point, and this is what we talked about on Monday, that flattened trajectory throw, do you think he's got enough arm strength to make it? Or do you think he's saying to himself, I can't laser that. I can't flatten the trajectory because I can't get it there.
If you throw it wide enough, you can layer that throw, meaning that you do have some air on it. It ends up being a shorter throw than the one he ends up choosing to make. Okay. So if he sets his feet, let's say he set it let's talk about right when he starts to set his feet.
Because this is a lot of air yards, Coach. I mean, you're from the 35 to the 5 here. I mean, that's a big throw.
Yep, 100% it is. So his hips are in a pretty good spot to layer that throw over towards that red line, 4.5 yards from the left sideline as he looks at it.
Sure.
But then I think that redlining nature of how he throws this ball, it ends up just kind of staying on that trajectory, and it allows that DB to make that play. I think that I really do have a belief that had that ball been thrown more in this kind of area, even down here, bud, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
Would
what
have
I was
been like,
thinking is
yeah, right
if
around
you
the
put
20-yard line.
2015, something like that, and really flatten it out. Because that DB is not looking at the ball. He's not going to make an adjustment. He's just going to play Mims. He's torched. He's beat.
I'm going to pull up another clip here real quick.
Okay.
Just a little quick series of clips, if that's all right.
So while you do that, I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching. We got over 400 people watching. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you like, you subscribe. Whether you're watching on Twitter, give Coach and me a follow there. If you're watching on Facebook, hop over to our YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, just make sure you like, subscribe, follow. Give us a little bit of extra love. We will be doing this every Tuesday. And we're going to try to aim for around this time, maybe a lunch break, something like that kind of thing. And break down a couple plays that we think are the most important play. I'm acting like I do anything here. Coach thinks are the most important plays from the game the week beforehand. So we've gone over two. Coach, tell us what you're pulling up here for the third one.
All right. So this is a drive that I loved. It was in the fourth quarter. And a lot of people have had the discussion, are we going to get into the fourth quarter success of Bo Nix in the offense was simply predicated off of coverage, or is it because Bo Nix actually is trending in the right direction, ending the football game, and is going to be set up for success? I think the truth lies somewhere in between. I really do. But if you do look at this coverage structure, what do you notice about Rob from a safety standpoint?
Feels like it too deep. I mean, like a too deep shell.
Does it not look like every snap of cover 6, which is quarter, half, and then you have a cloud corner because of the reduced split? This is a coverage that Bo Nix will absolutely eat on, just crush in the underneath zone abilities of this coverage.
Now tell us why that is, Coach.
Because, well, first off, do you see free access here? Meaning a free access is when a corner and or overhang players are giving you a hitch or a slant. Get you in rhythm, right? And right here, corner right here is off 7.5 yards. All right. That you can get in rhythm as a quarterback completing 7-yard passes, 6 yards passes up and down the field. This is what a majority of defensive coordinators that have successfully defended Bo Nix do not do. They take that away. You saw that with the first quarter where we had the clip up. It was the first interception, was a match zone hybrid. So it had man elements, it had zone elements, but you did have a press cover corner on one side and a corner playing about 4.5 yards off in a carry position on the other side. So there's just not that guaranteed pre-snap. I have it, I'm going to throw the hitch, especially on a first. This is a 2nd and 2. This is the youth drive, though. This is what I like, okay? Audric Estime, the biceps are in the backfield. First play on 2nd and 2 for Audric Estime carrying the football. Toss play. Oh, shoot. My bad. Okay. Toss play. Good cut. Gets vertical. Nice. Makes a guy miss. Big number 23, 11 yards on his first carry. Rookie. Typically, when you have a bigger running back, you're not running toss schemes. I love it that that's his first carry. Get outside. I love what my guy Matthew Parrott does. Look at that. Phenomenal block. Troutman doing a really good job. They're getting the width. Derwin James.
I need to seal here, and we run it.
Forsyth. Good snap by Forsyth. I love the cut. I love the decisiveness. I love the make it miss. Possibly could get even a face mask there. I was holding my breath on this cut when I was watching this live on Sunday. I was like, please don't fumble, Audric. Please don't fumble, especially after some of the preseason woes of putting the ball in the ground. That's going to be the key for Audric Estime going forward, earning the respect and trust of Sean Payton as a play caller.
Well, and look at your guys downfield too, Coach. I mean,
yep, this is really good. I love even a little tabletop right here. My guy Matt McChesney would love this. Boom.
Yeah. I mean, wide receivers getting in on the action. Of course, your tight ends. It was a well-blocked play.
Yep. All right. So next play here. All right. What do you notice about the coverage?
I mean, saying it looks like a shell coverage to me again, coach.
Yeah. Back to this, frankly, it's either, it looks like cover 6. It ends up being a 3-fire zone, which is, so they're bringing Derwin James off the edge.
Cover 3.
Yep. Turns into chalkboard cover 3. Bo Nix makes Derwin James miss. Bo Nix did a really good job of avoiding some sacks on some free hitters.
And coach, let's talk about that just real quick for a second, because I feel like the people who are watching this trying to learn a little bit, to our eyes, we can see how that turns into cover 3 real quick. A lot of the discussion in the NFL is how difficult it is to get a pre-snap read and then adjust as you get into the actual play. So can you talk a little bit about that for the people who are trying to learn a little bit here?
Yeah. So, so this is a college, I'd say day 1 install pressure. All right. It's you hold a 2 shell. So it looks like cover 4 or cover 6. And so a lot of times the before the snap, and you're just getting an indicator, the human being that tells the story against 11 personnel sets or 10 personnel type of presentation. That means there's no attached tight end. There's one running back in the backfield. The guy that tells the truth often is the nickel back, and that's Derwin James here. All right. So body language there is telling me pressure. Now, I'm not sure exactly what Jaleel McLaughlin's doing here. It looks like he is a free releaser. So this would be 3-jet scat protection, meaning that the running back to the odd side, the number 3, is a free releaser. And then, so the offensive line, by virtue of the play call, would be sliding 1 for him. And then really these 2 are going to be stack him, and your left tackle is going to be 1-on-1 on 45. I would look at the profile of this and seeing these are my 4 down linemen. They're accounted for by the offensive line. I would have said Oscar, 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 seeing the body language of the nickel, even a slight contour of this safety creeping up. And I know I did pause it a little bit late. And then I would send the offensive line slide. So it would be center, right guard, right tackle for the nose, the 5 technique, who's the defensive end, and then Derwin James. So you don't necessarily have to be if the quarterback manipulates this protection, you don't have a free hitter, and you don't have to go make this a heroic play to avoid the sack.
Okay. And then for the coverage, as you roll this forward, it morphs into a cover 3. So your corners are dropping out, your safety's going into the deep middle of the field, kind of that center field that we were talking about.
Yeah. So the very first picture when I'm teaching quarterback play of coverage identification and pressures, in spread sets, the number 1 blitzer is the nickel. All right. So you're the nickel in his body language and or his alignment relative to the most inside number 3 receiver and the number 2, who's the middle of the 3 receivers to the left. I teach that. That's one indicator. If he's coming, Derwin James, then everything's on a string, and this safety's on a string coming down to take away the vacated hook to flat defender that is blitzing. Okay.
Don't give him the easy hot route throw.
Yes, exactly. Now, for years in college football, I have coached the quarterback to, after you've seen the nickel, all right, at least post snap, your best indicator of coverage is your boundary safety. In a 2-high structure, if the boundary safety is rotating to the field, it's some type of middle field close coverage. If he stays squared and or is just soft pedaling here, it's cover 4. If he ends up opening his hips this way, it ends up being cover 2 or cover 6, which is quarter, half to the boundary.
Middle field open, meaning there's nobody in the middle of the field, and it changes the route that you're looking for depending on if it's middle field closed or middle field open.
And so what I love, and this is where the NFL and vets and just savvy players, I even have taught for years because of film study, that you can tell the boundary safety, the way his feet are staggered, the intent of what he's going to be doing. So if his inside foot is up and his outside foot is back, do you think that he's more likely to open this way or that way?
God, I would say he'd be more likely to open towards the sideline, but
exactly. This is good NFL detail technique. He's messing with the rookie quarterback. Because if you're looking at the stagger pre-snap, you'd say, oh, he's not coming. He's not going to the deep third. There's no way. That's why they're kind of messing with him. And so this plus this doesn't always add up. So Bo Nix, as a result, did not manipulate the protection. I still would have said that the nickel is more important. His body language and his alignment. And then you can also see the beginnings of this field safety on the string to take away that void. And then watch my boundary safety here. Up right when the ball snapped.
Yeah. I'm going to change your picture.
Yep. All right. So Bo Nix, break and contain. Awesome. Troy Franklin, rookie. Love it. This was wild. Did you see this? That was wild. Do you think that should have been a fumble? Oh no, it was. I think it was a helmet hit his thigh board. This ball got deflected, and then just show one more here.
Coach, and you're cranking here because we are over an hour.
Oh, we are.
So I have loved it. Tell us what you're looking for here to pull up for your next play here.
Yeah, so just the youth movement. That's cool.
It feels like he's starting to trust those guys, the young guys, a little bit more, doesn't he?
Well, and I would argue that not just does he trust him, but he's just flat out more comfortable with them because of they came in together. They went through rookie minicamp together. They're having those conversations during training camp. You know, when the vets have done this 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, they're like, dude, this is all new to us. We haven't done this at this level this long. The NFL training camp is so much longer than the college football training camp. It's unbelievable. And I know that from covering it. This will be the last clip I want to show. Just right there. Devon Vele, another rookie. So we've talked Bo Nix, rookie freshman, rookie quarterback, Audric Estime, rookie running back, Devon Vele, rookie receiver, the youth movement. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And I'm not saying you start them all. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you play these guys early. Why? Because they're good. A, B, because Bo Nix feels comfortable with these cats. This is a second play. This is not a design play. Steps up in the pocket. Love it. Gets vertical. I love this. This is an old drill that we used to do, a West Coast offense drill. We call it hitch. And then this inside backer, you got to put him in a bind, and it's either a go and run if he turns his back, or it's throw because he's coming to take you. Boom. Nice little kind of no-lookish type pass. Devon Vele, speed, length, athleticism, great finish, refuses to go down, finishes it on the 3-yard line. Rookie.
So when you say put him in a bind, what you're saying is run right at him.
Right,
make him decide if he's going to come up and tackle you or if he's going to stay in coverage. And you should pick up the first down either way, right, Coach?
It is the passing game second play version of Army, Navy, Air Force's offense in triple option, right? It's what it is. You are making him declare by attacking his leverage. And then the final play of the drive, it's clockwork, man. Man coverage. Woo! I didn't even see this. Troy Franklin. Okay, so you can see down here, Troy Franklin, this ends up being the touchdown catch. He's running a backline dig. Watch how he does it, okay? He's got outside leverage. So Derwin James, all-pro Derwin James, if I'm not mistaken. Been a Pro Bowler, correct? He's on Troy Franklin. Can you see Troy Franklin's, what he's doing at the top of his route?
Trying to get around him.
Yeah.
So to throw the brakes on.
Yeah, give the illusion of an outbreaker, right?
Yeah.
Look at the separation. Big time separation right there by Troy Franklin. Proud of that young man. He had a tough training camp. Worked the back line. Bo Nix on. Boom. Great throw.
But this was never a question for him, right? The question wasn't, can he run routes? It's can he handle the physicality of it? And I want to point out here, Derwin's got his hands on him.
Oh, and that's a strong physical experience vet.
Yeah,
I mean, Derwin James is pissed that happened. He is pissed. All right, man, I got to run.
All right, Coach. So like we said, we'll try to do this every Tuesday. We'll hang out here. So, give us subscribes on the YouTube, on the Twitch, on the Twitter, on the Facebook, wherever you're finding us. Make sure you find us next week. We will break down Broncos film every Tuesday with Coach in the weeds, throwing chalk, whatever we're doing. We're
doing it all, man. But one thing I didn't do is leave on time to pick up my daughter from school. And I'm going to sign off on that.
We're out of here. See ya.
Love ball, baby.